Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Wednesday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Texas Rangers. No official lineup for this game right now, but we should see Romanelli and Andrew Heaney on the mound as the projected starters. You know, to me, I think we're going to see a lower scoring game, at least through the first half of this one. So I'm leaning towards the first 5 under. Andrew Heaney, a left-handed pitcher, he's able to earn plenty of strikeouts. We've seen him have 26 strikeouts in 24 2/3 innings this year. And in prior years, a guy that can get at least a strikeout per inning. But the problem for him has been his control. His free passes, allowing a lot of walks, and the home run ball gives up a lot of sharp contact. But against the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think this is actually a good matchup because the Diamondbacks are dead last in baseball in walk percentage against lefties. Their strikeout rate's a little bit higher against lefties than it is against righties, and their isolated power numbers against lefties aren't the best. They're ranked 20th in baseball. So I do think Heaney could put together 5-6 good innings in this game. I think on the other side, if Romanelli is a starter for Arizona, he's pitched very well on the road this season, 2-0 with a 1.15 ERA. And we'll see a low-scoring game. Don't really love the bullpens for either of these teams, so that's why I'm just going to isolate this to the first 5 innings. Next up, it's San Francisco and Houston, the Giants and the Astros. Logan Webb and Framber Valdez are your starters, and arguably the best pitcher in both of these teams' rotations. And you see the Astros sending out a lefty against the Giants, a team that's ranked right now 23rd in baseball in isolated power against lefties and 26th in the league in team OPS with a 29.6% strikeout rate, which is 3rd highest in baseball, a 6.9% walk rate, which is one of the lowest in baseball. Giants have not been able to hit lefties consistently. I think Framber Valdez puts together a strong outing. On the other side, you got Logan Webb, like I mentioned, the better arm in the Giants rotation, and he's facing an Astros team that for some reason struggling against those right-handed pitchers, especially in the power department. The team OPS right now for Houston is ranked 23rd in baseball. Their isolated power is ranked 25th in the league against those right-handed pitchers. Logan Webb's had a weird season. He's really been able to pick up a lot of strikeouts, which is good to see, but he's really been known to be a ground ball pitcher that's having issues with the home run ball. So kind of a strange start to the year, but I like the fact that he's missing bats, and I think he's going to have a good start here. So give me the under in the full game between the San Francisco Giants and those Astros. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to see Aaron Nola on the side for Philadelphia and making his Major League debut, Gavin Stone on the mound for the Dodgers. Now, Gavin Stone's the number 4 prospect in the Dodgers organization. We know an organization that usually has a pretty deep prospect pool, so not a bad place to be in for Gavin Stone. He pitched very well in spring training, did not give up a single earned run. So far in the minor leagues in AAA Oklahoma City, some mixed results. His ERA a little bit high above 4. His strikeout numbers are good, but he's also had a lot of walks allowed this year, 4.4 walks per 9 in those minor league innings and a 1.1 home runs per 9. Not too shabby, but now you're moving up to the major league level, facing a very tough lineup in the Philadelphia Phillies. Not going to be the easiest spot to be in. The Philadelphia Phillies, they are ranked 10th in baseball in isolated power against righties. They're 6th in the league in team OPS. And I think they're going to be able to get Stone for a few runs. I don't expect Stone to go too deep into this ball game. I think Aaron Nola on the other side, although he had a really rough start to the season, he's looked a lot sharper as of late. He's gone at least 7 innings in each of his last 2 starts against the Rockies and the Astros and pitched well in both of those games. And the Phillies have won each of his last 3 starts as well. So I'm going to take the Philadelphia Phillies here on the road on the money line. I think they take this game. Next up, it's the Cincinnati Reds taking on the San Diego Padres. Luis Cessa and Seth Lugo are your starters. I know the Padres are huge favorites in this game, and even laying the 1.5 runs on the run line, you're still laying negative odds. But for me, it's Padres run line or pass, as Luis Cessa just not backable in a spot like this. He wasn't that bad his last start against the A's, but that's against one of the weakest lineups in baseball. He still gave up 8 base hits and 3 earned runs in 5 innings of work. And overall this season, a 2.22 whip, a 9.55 ERA, has a 9-9 walk to strikeout ratio, can give up sharp contact. I think the Padres get to him early and often. And Seth Lugo, although his last start was not his best, probably his weakest start of the season, honestly, against the Cubs, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs. That was against a much better lineup in Chicago. When you look at the Cincinnati Reds on the road this season against those right-handed pitchers, 28th in baseball in team OPS, and isolated power number is ranked dead last in the league with a 25.8% strikeout rate, which is pretty steep. So I don't like their matchup here against Lugo. I think he bounces back. Give me the San Diego Padres on the run line, and I'd think about laying 2.5 runs as well. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. We're going to see Kyle Wright and Braxton Garrett on the bump in this one. Now, both of these pitchers, they just faced off against each other back on April 27th, and they were pitching outstanding baseball in that game. It was a pitcher's duel early. Unfortunately for both of these starters, the game went into a rain delay, and that basically ended their starts. And then the Marlins ended up scoring 5 runs in the top of the ninth inning to win that game in the end. But, Braxton Garrett went 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs. Kyle Wright went 3 innings, 6 strikeouts, no earned runs. So, no rain delay in this game, as we're going to be playing at Lone Depot Park in a dome. But, I do think that the Braves still have the advantage in this game. When you look at their numbers against left-handed pitching, they've really improved over the last couple of weeks. And now, overall this season, the Braves are ranked 3rd in baseball in both team OPS and isolated power against those left-handed pitchers. The Marlins hit lefties very well themselves, but they're not facing a lefty here. Kyle Wright being a right-handed pitcher who, basically dominated those 3 innings with 6 strikeouts. I think he pitches well in this spot again. I think the Braves have the better bullpen in the lineup to go with it. So give me the Atlanta Braves on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Detroit Tigers. We're going to see the return of Max Scherzer from his suspension going up against Joey Wentz on the other side for Detroit. I think Max Scherzer, certainly some things in his game that are a little bit concerning. The fact that he's giving up a good amount of home runs and sharp contact and the strikeout numbers kind of all over the place. That's what I would be concerned with, but I will say before his suspension, he was pitching some of the best baseball we saw from him in 2023, where he went 8 innings against the Padres and Dodgers, didn't allow an earned run, and had 9 strikeouts in those 2 games. So I do think if he can continue the form that he was in before the suspension, he'll be just fine. And facing a Detroit Tigers lineup that is, one of the worst in baseball, I think Scherzer can put together 5 strong innings here. On the other side, Joey Wentz, although he's a lefty, and the Mets don't hit lefties necessarily as well as they hit righties, Wentz is still somebody I can't trust in this game. He's only got 20 strikeouts and 22 1/3 innings of work with 9 walks to go with it. ERA is pretty steep there at 6.45. A little bit better numbers at home, but still an ERA above 5.5. Can't trust him here. Give me the New York Mets on the money line. I'll lay a little bit on the run line as well. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. No official lineup for this game right now, and we see this a lot with Tampa Bay Rays games, but surprisingly, it didn't have to deal with the Rays on Tuesday. It was the Pittsburgh Pirates pitching, information that we were waiting on for the line to come out. That line didn't come out for Tuesday in that Pirates-Rays game for the longest time. Hopefully not the case in this one. Hopefully we get some more information sooner rather than later, but, right now I'm seeing Shane McClanahan listed as the starter for the Rays. And, he's tough to back. He's tough to go against right now because even though he's facing a tough Pirates lineup that's, hitting lefties very well, McClanahan had 2.12 ERA overall, even better numbers at home with a 1.59 ERA. He's got 42 strikeouts in 34 innings. Sure, his last 2 starts were a little bit concerning, giving up the long ball to Chicago, but the White Sox hit lefties very well. That's been the case the last few seasons, so it was a tough spot to be in for McClanahan, and he still pitched well enough for the Rays to win both of those games, and he had 15 strikeouts in 11 innings. So I do think he pitches well here at Tropicana Field, and we'll have to see what the information is going to be like on the other side for Pittsburgh with their starting pitching. But right now, I'm leaning towards Tampa Bay on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Washington Nationals. No official line for this game either, unfortunately. There's a few games like this for Wednesday. A lot of these teams are dealing with some injuries in their starting rotation, so they're either having to go with the bullpen game or just manage their rotation, bring up some prospects from the minor leagues. So that's why we're getting some late information here. But Marcus Stroman should be going for Chicago, and that's enough for me to lean towards the Cubs right now on the money line, as Stroman's been excellent this season, a 2.29 ERA, one of the better pitchers in the National League ERA-wise, and a 1.46 ERA on the road. You look at the Washington Nationals this season, they're ranked dead last in baseball in isolated power and 28th in the league in team OPS against right-handed pitching. So really tough to back the Nationals here. If this is a bullpen game, I don't love this Nationals bullpen. Even if they go with the starter, I think the Cubs will be able to get to them. So give me the Chicago Cubs on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the New York Yankees. Shane Bieber and Clark Schmidt are your starters in this one. I'm going to lead towards the Guardians in this game. Although Clark Schmidt's been able to miss a lot of bats and earn a lot of strikeouts, he's given up a lot of sharp contact, home runs, base hits galore. His control hasn't been bad, but he's still in his last start against the Rangers, 10 base hits, 5 earned runs, and a homer in that 5-2 loss. And the Yankees have lost a lot of his starts this season, and it doesn't help that the Yankees bats are really suffering without guys like Stanton and Judge in the lineup. I know Harrison Bader back from the IL, but to me, not enough right now. Shane Bieber, although I'm a little bit concerned that he's not missing a lot of bats and not earning a lot of strikeouts, and his velocity has dropped quite a bit, he's still a guy that's able to go pretty deep into ball games. He pitched well against the Yankees in his start on April 10th, went 7 innings, 2 earned runs in that 3-2 Guardians win. Last start against the Red Sox, tough place to be at Fenway Park. Bieber went 7 innings. He had a 13-8 ground ball to fly ball ratio. Only gave up those 2 runs. So I think Bieber's good enough here for the Guardians. Give me the Cleveland Guardians on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Chicago White Sox. No official starter for the Twins right now. We should see Dylan Cease on the mound for Chicago, and he's pitched well against the Twins. We saw him pitch well in his first start against them this year. 5 innings, 1 earned run, and 6 strikeouts. Now, his defense didn't help him in that game, and he gave up 2 unearned runs, but still pitched well enough. And last year against the Twins, didn't give up a single earned run in 16 innings of work. 15 strikeouts, no home runs, no earned runs, like I said. So, I do think Dylan Cease is good enough here to give the Chicago White Sox a chance to lead after the end of the first 5 innings. I don't love this Chicago White Sox bullpen. It's really tough to back them. They've blown so many leads this season, so I'm just going to isolate this game to the first 5. Small lean to the White Sox first 5. Next up is the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Boston Red Sox. Alek Manoah and Nick Pivetta are your starters in this one. I really can't trust Alek Manoah when he's pitching at Rogers Center. His first 3 starts at home this season have all been dicey. He's had 4 walks allowed at least in each of his first 3 home starts, and gave up a home run in each of those games. But luckily for him, he's not pitching at Rogers Center in this one. He's facing the Red Sox, a very tough lineup in a very tough stadium. But Nick Pivetta's on the other side, and we know that Pivetta gives up a lot of sharp contact, and the Blue Jays hit righties very well. They hit Nick Pivetta very well last year with a 5.95 ERA that he owned in 19 2/3 innings, giving up 3 home runs, 21 base hits, and 14 walks in those 19 2/3 innings, with only 17 strikeouts to go with it. The Blue Jays offense has done very well at Fenway Park the last couple of years. We know last season they had that 28 or 29 runs scored in that big blowout win. I don't know if they're going to get to 28 runs in this one, but I think they do enough here to win this game on the road. So give me the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Kyle Gibson and Zach Greinke are your starters. Now, when you look at these 2 teams on paper and the win-loss record, you look at these 2 starting pitchers and the win-loss record in the ERA department, you'd say maybe the Orioles should just wipe the floor with this one. But I think the Royals have some value on them in this spot. Zach Greinke pitches a lot better at Kauffman Stadium than he does on the road. On the road this season in 13 2/3 innings, giving up 6 home runs and a 9.22 ERA. But at home in 17 1/3, a 3.63 ERA. We saw it last year in a much larger sample size. 71 innings on the road, a 5.32 ERA. In 66 innings at home in Kauffman Stadium, a 1.91 ERA. So Greinke is pretty backable when he's pitching at Kauffman Stadium. And Kyle Gibson, although his ERA is looking sharp right now, I do see some regression concerns in his game. Doesn't really strike out a lot of guys. Had some issues with the free passes in the last couple of games. His whip is getting up there. His last start, he gave up 8 base hits and 2 walks in 4 1/3 innings against the Detroit Tigers of all teams. Just as weak of a lineup as the Royals. So I don't really trust Gibson, especially at this price. And Greinke on the other side pitches well at Kauffman. I'm going to take a shot here with Kansas City on the money line at plus money. Next up is the Los Angeles Angels taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Miles Mikolas and Shohei Ohtani are your starters. Just a small lean towards the under in this game, as you got 2 teams offensively against righties. Not the best numbers. They definitely hit lefties better, at least so far this season. And Miles Mikolas is tough to back, but I will say last year he pitched a lot better at Busch Stadium, had a sub 2.4 ERA at Busch Stadium while above 4 on the road. This season he's kind of struggled everywhere, but I think he has a decent outing here. And Shohei Ohtani's been one of the best pitchers in the American League. We expected that going into the season. I think he puts together a strong campaign or strong outing himself. So give me the under here in St. Louis, Los Angeles. Not my favorite game on the board though. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Colorado Rockies. Eric Lauer and Kyle Freeland are your starters in this one. Now, I'm not Eric Lauer's agent, but I don't think that Lauer will be requesting a trade to Colorado or signing a deal with the Rockies as a free agent anytime soon, as when you look at his career numbers at Coors Field, they are just downright ugly. He's got a 15.91 ERA at Coors in his career, and you could say, oh, did he pitch there once and just get rocked in that one game, and that's why his ERA is so bad? No, he's pitched there 6 times in 18 2/3 innings, an 0-5 record with that 15.91 ERA. He's given up 41 base hits in those 18 2/3, 36 runs allowed, 33 of those were earned, 7 home runs. He's got 17 strikeouts, but 12 walks as well, a 2.839 whip in those innings. I just can't back him in this spot. Maybe he figures it out. This is his 7th time there, so maybe he has a sharp outing, but I can't count on it. Kyle Freeland is a lefty. The Brewers hit lefties poorly this season. Last year, the same thing. So even at Coors Field, Kyle Freeland's had a lot of experience at Coors. I think he can put together a decent outing here. So, lean towards the over, but I think the Rockies on the money line is also a smart decision at a pretty good price. And the final game for Wednesday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the Seattle Mariners taking on the Oakland Athletics. Now, there's no official lineup for this game, and I'm seeing different starting pitchers listed on different websites. I see Logan Gilbert on ESPN. I see George Kirby on MLB.com. I think either option is pretty good for Seattle. I think it's good enough here against J.P. Sears. The Mariners don't hit lefties too well, but Sears has really struggled this season. I think he's got a lot of potential in his game. I just don't think he's MLB ready right now. So I'm going to lean towards the Mariners in this game, slight lean on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.